Welcome to KIRSTIcast, the show where we hope to illuminate, entertain, and engage our listeners, helping them create the life they want. I'm your host, Kirsti Manna. So there's been times in my career that I've really felt like quitting because it's hard. It's hard to stay hustling all the time. And I don't care what business you're in, you're going to have times probably where you think, I just want to give up. But it always seemed like there were people, for me, that really inspired me to keep going and to really look back in myself and find my go-getter self in my soul and really get back on track. And that's happened to me, I'd have to say, several times in the music business in the regards to songwriting, because it's very difficult to be a songwriter, whether you're living in Nashville or whether you're living anywhere in the world, to just keep going, to understand your why, to understand what the purpose is of what you're doing with your music, especially if you never get any response, especially if you get rejection. I think that's when you really have to call on the better angels of yourself to really help you fly. So if you're having those kind of difficulties, it's probably a good idea to have a special song or maybe some kind of a meditation practice that you can do to really get yourself back on track. Those times when that happened to me, I think was always when I was listening to other people's opinions. And you know, sometimes people's opinions about what you're doing can be out of jealousy. It can be out of envy. It isn't necessarily about being something, saying something, or being a constructively critical person. So think about that when you're listening to what other people have to say about your creative life, about your dreams, about your goals creatively. And just try to remember, you know, what you're made of, that your gifts and your talents are worthy of your time and worthy of those dreams. Hope you're going to stick around for the Shero Spotlight. We'll be right back. Stay tuned for the Shero Spotlight. Welcome back to KIRSTIcast and to my very special segment, Shero Spotlight, where today I'm welcoming my good friend and radio promoter, music business icon, Jennifer Blair. Let me tell you a little bit about Jennifer. Jennifer was born and raised in Texas, and she got into her love of country music from her dad, who managed a country band, and it was working with him that she really began to get immersed into the story of country songs. She eventually moved to Nashville, Tennessee in 1994, where she became a Belmont University student, and she attended that university and studied music business. She then became an intern for MCA Records and also for Mercury Nashville. Well, the internship with Mercury led her to her first job with country artist Terry Clark. And she was managed by Woody Bowles. Wow, this is like a soap opera at the time. And after leaving Terry Clark, she worked at NSAI, which is a really great organization that really helps and supports songwriters. So you can see where this is going with the songs. In 2002, she began working for Bullseye Marketing, which was a radio research company, and it was there she began her record promotion career, focusing on secondary markets. She had the opportunity to work with, people like Miranda Lamber, Montgomery Gentry, Toby Keith, Jimmy Wayne, Leann Womack, and countless others. Well, in 2006, Jennifer decided to venture out on her own, and she launched Jennifer Blair Promotions. Her company has promoted the music of Heidi Newfield, Dylan Scott, Dallas Remington, Tori Martin, Clay Walker, and many others. Welcome, Jennifer. So glad to have you here. Jennifer, it's so great to have you here today. Thanks so much for making the time to come out and talk to me here on KIRSTIcast. So I know you are really, really busy as a radio promoter. It's hard to carve out some time. So I'm going to ask you only one question. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to ask you more.
It's fine. We can do one question.
So let me ask you, just to begin with, what got you interested in being a radio promoter?
I really did not, I never thought about it. I never thought, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to be a radio promoter. I really was kind of thrown into it, I guess you'd say, because At the time I was at NSAI, I was kind of wanting to change. And I was friends with a girl who was head of career development over at Belmont. And she said, hey, you need to call John Hart over at Bullseye Marketing. He's hired somebody for record promotion. So I'm like, well, I don't even know. Like, okay. And I went and sat down with him and interviewed with him. And he was from Texas. I'm from Texas. That's always a bond if you're from Texas.
Oh, yeah, that's big.
So we had a lot of the same mutual, I guess, work people, you know. And he said, now, that's how he talks, now it's going to be hard talking to them stations. It's hard, you know. But that was, to me, the easiest, because then you would find out about their kids, or, you know, I had one that would say, oh, hey, my wife served me for divorce papers today. Like, I knew, like, all their life, you know.
Yeah.
So at that time, his clients were, at the time when everything was split up, it wasn't all one big thing, MCA Mercury, DreamWorks, I had Sony, some Universal. So I got to kind of pick who I wanted to work.
Yeah.
So I liked picking the B-level people, as I like to say, like Jimmy Wayne, I would consider at the time was B-level, Miranda, who had just got signed off of Nashville Star, Buddy Jewel. So I really was just kind of thrown into it. But I do enjoy it, and I did enjoy it, so.
So this kind of answers my next question is, what do you love about your job? And I know you love to talk, so it's talking to people.
You get to talking to people, and you get to know about their life. Like, do you remember this song? Oh, yeah, I still play that in recurrent. Like, you find out about them. I know a lot about their family, divorces, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy talking to them, for sure.
Do you do a lot of research about the artist and the song, or the writers, or anything like that before you start promoting the song?
I do. Writing is a big thing for me, because I'm kind of it always, and I know you're probably going to love this, but when somebody can write a song and I'll go, that's such a great line. You know, there's so many like great lines. So I do find that sometimes the radio people aren't familiar with who wrote a song, and may not even, it doesn't even make a difference. Like, did you know John Rich wrote that song? Oh, no, like it doesn't.
It doesn't resonate with them.
Right. A great song's a great song. So.
Right. What advice would you give to somebody today, you know, if they came up to you and said, hey, I hear you are a radio promoter. How do I get going in that business? Do you think it's harder today?
I think it's harder today, just because there's less stations. Downloading, streaming has really affected, I think. But I do still believe that listeners still want to hear local radio. Weather, football, the wrestling match, basketball, whatever. I do still think people want to hear that stuff.
I really think that's true. You know, I mean, even when I go back to my hometown, I always think it's fun to listen to local radio and just, you know, see what's going on. Like, what are the events?
Right.
You know, you know, who won the basketball game? That kind of thing. I think it's cool.
Exactly.
I think it's cool. How can you tell if a song is a hit? Do people ever I know when somebody brings you a record to promote and they'll say, this is a hit.
Yeah.
But how do you know in your heart?
I have to remove myself and say, what would the audience like? Like, would that fit with what that station's doing? Kind of put my stuff aside and say, would that work for that station in New York? Or would that work here? That's kind of what I have to do. Because something I may love, they might hate.
Right.
And vice versa.
Right. And certain artists, you know, I think certain artists too, you know, people just wait for another song to come out, and even artists that are regionally successful, you know, I guess radio is waiting for them to put a new song out, and so you keep a really good list of who those stations and artists and how they're kind of married.
Right. Like, you know, a regional artist, obviously a station, Texas River's going to have that record, whether somebody's pushing it or not, you know, so. So
do you think that Texas music really has its own thing?
I do.
Why is it? What is different about Texas music?
I think that Texas is just a whole other planet. I just really, because I'm from there and I can say that, because it's like, we used to say, have you ever seen a Texas map of the United States, you know? So I just feel like Red Dirt is just a whole different game. It's just got its own sound. It's got its own thing. So I do think it is, for sure.
I think one thing about Texas artists is that they care. They care, but they don't care. They don't care. They're just doing their thing.
They're doing their thing.
And they're really really unique. They don't seem to, kind of trend after each other, if you will.
No.
Is that true?
I would have to agree.
Yeah. I really think that's true. So I always ask all of my guests this question. Tell me your stay inspired story, like a something or somebody that you met, something that happened in your life that really inspired you, that really stuck with you.
Oh, that's hard.
In life. And it doesn't have to be about your career. It could be about anything.
That's something that's inspired me to keep. I think I know what I would say is when you help somebody, like an artist, whatever, and you help them see themselves progress, that makes me feel good. Like you're helping them, you're part of their story. You're growing with them. You're their vehicle to radio. So that really inspires me because I'm part of their career.
Yeah. What are some artists that you've thought are really, really unique, in the last few years? Who have you really enjoyed?
That I've worked or just
Either way.
My little worker bee, I always said, was Dallas Remington, and I think I worked 5 or 6 singles with her.
Yeah.
She visited the Music Row stations, I know, at least twice.
I've written with her, and she's really focused.
She was my little worker bee. We're going out, she'd call me and say, well, me and Mama's going out on New York, we're going out on a tour, So her, and like I've told you before, we go see Kevin Denny every Saturday at the local.
Oh, yes.
And to hear him sing the songs that I grew up with that people may not be familiar with.
Yeah.
That's always cool to hear that.
He's really got a unique sound.
And can sing anything.
Yeah.
Literally.
He's really great. He's sung a lot of demos for me.
So good.
Yeah, he's really good. So what is your power word?
Ooh, power word, I would say keep going. Even if you have to scratch and claw for literally every spin, every ad, you got to keep going.
Yeah. Just being really persistent.
Sure.
What is something you tell yourself when it gets really tough, when you're trying to promote a record and you feel like, you need to go that extra mile? What do you tell yourself?
You just got to keep going and it's going to work out. You've just got to keep, and all you can do is all you can do.
Right.
The best you can do is, all you can do. So
yeah.
That's what I try to keep in mind.
I just think what you do is so amazing because there's so many artists out there, and I know in working with you, with Tori Martin, you've given us so much success, and you work so hard at trying to make sure that artist really gets heard. I really appreciate that. So thank you. Thanks for doing that. You're welcome. My last question, finish the sentence. You don't know what I'm going to say to you?
I don't know. I can't wait.
Okay. The number one thing I'm grateful for today is...
This is going to sound so crazy, but I get to work from home. And I don't have to get crazy in traffic. And when my kids were younger, of course, they're a lot older now. If I had to pick up and go do something or pick somebody up at school, I was able to do that. So that was really important to me. So
getting to work from home, that's really good.
It is, because the traffic is terrible.
It is terrible in this town.
Horrible.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
I always love to talk to you.
Because we have fun.
I know we have fun, and I know that you're so busy on your radio calls and everything. So I really appreciate you getting in the traffic and coming all the way down here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Everybody stick around. We're going to be right back.
You're my hero, more than a hero, and I look up to you every single day. Every day, my celebration, my inspiration is to be like you, but in my own way. You're my hero, more than a hero.
I've spent years of self-discovery learning how to live a successful creative life. That's why I created my course, Spark Your Creativity, The Steps to a Successful Creative Journey, to help others discover their own potential. Your creative journey never ends. So why not invest in yourself and sign up for my course today at Kirsti.com. See you on the journey. Thanks so much, everyone, for sticking around and checking out KIRSTIcast. Hope you're going to like, listen, and download this episode. Watch it on YouTube and share it with all of your friends. I want to thank my very special guest today, Jennifer Blair, and also Funhouse Studios for hosting us here as we shot these episodes. Hope that you're going to check out my website, Kirsti.com, and look at my Spark Your Creativity online course. And whatever you do, stay inspired. See you next time. You've been listening to KIRSTIcast.